No way, that's impossible. We live together and all you have to do is sign the divorce papers. Good luck with your poor life. Holding the phone after the one-sided call, I stood there stunned for a while. Mr. Cooper, the lawyer, couldn't hold back his laughter and burst out laughing. Megan looked at the lawyer with a puzzled face. The lawyer is wiping away tears. The CEO is the wife, actually. My name is Patricia. I've been married to my husband David for 2 years. We don't have children. Both of us work hard, often working on weekends. We hardly find time to have a long conversation leading to a life of passing each other by. That's why when we do get a substantial break, we coordinate our schedules to go on overseas trips. It's only once a year, but it's something we both look forward to. When we got married, we decided to buy an upper-floor apartment in a high-rise condo by the sea. It was a stretch, but we thought about the future value of the property. Thanks to that, we're satisfied with our life now. I have a best friend from high school, Megan. We sometimes go out for lunch together. Megan, being beautiful, has high standards for men. She's not married yet, but really wants to be. She's always on dating apps looking for men with high education and income. Especially, she won't compromise on salary. One day, Megan and I were enjoying lunch at a cafe near the park. We've been together since high school and college. Perhaps that's why we've consulted each other about various things. Thanks to that, we know about each other's dating histories and taste in men. In our student days, we shared both happy and sad moments. Now, those are good memories. Since I married David 2 years ago, we both became busy, and the time we could meet decreased. Now we can only meet a few times a year, right? Can I come over to your place sometime? Megan suddenly asked me. She hadn't been to my condo yet. Then Megan came to visit the condo on the weekend. Her surprise was evident right from the entrance. Megan kept repeating how impressed she was. As soon as I opened the front door, Megan looked amazed. Wow, what a mansion! And the elevator ride up was so long. I decided to go big for this once-in-a-lifetime purchase and chose a spacious apartment on an upper floor. It's comfortably spacious. It's beautiful, really amazing. Megan was looking around, turning her head all over. The location is great for an upper-floor apartment of this layout. It must have been quite expensive, right? Megan asked with a sly smile. Yes, it was expensive, and the security is really tight. Look over here. Megan just focused on the word expensive and interrupted me. Right, your husband must be making a lot of money. Saying that, Megan's eyes widened. Such a typical reaction from her. She's always had high standards for men, especially regarding their income. David's income is pretty high for his age, I guess, I said, vaguely. It felt a bit tacky to speak frankly about it. Megan, with a somewhat calculating look, said, Can I use your bathroom? And left the living room. After directing Megan to the bathroom, I started preparing coffee in the kitchen. Concerned about Megan taking so long, I was about to check on her when she returned. I was replying to an email. Megan doesn't usually make excuses like that. I felt a slight sense of discomfort. As we were eating the cookies Megan brought and drinking coffee, she asked if she could stay until the evening. She wanted to greet David. Indeed, Megan hadn't seen David since our wedding. It wasn't strange that she wanted to meet him. I decided to check with David first. He was happy to agree. He even replied that he might finish work early. I told Megan it was okay and started preparing dinner. Megan, who had been on her phone, stood up and headed to the bathroom again. Absorbed in cooking, I didn't notice, but Megan had been gone for quite a while. When she returned, she was wearing a familiar necklace. I recognized it as mine. As I looked closely at the necklace, Megan gave an embarrassed smile. How do I look? Does it suit me? Megan posed like a model to show it off. I stared in astonishment and Megan burst into laughter. Geez, I'm just kidding. I found it by chance. It's really cute, isn't it? And it must have been so expensive, right? It's not only pricey, but also a limited edition. Megan babbled like a child making excuses for wrongdoing. That's a gift from David. Wow, he must be really rich to afford something like this. Megan sighed. More importantly, that necklace was stored in my bedroom closet. Megan lied about going to the toilet and had peeked into my bedroom and closet. What does it mean? I couldn't believe it. Yet, feeling reluctant to scold Megan, I simply emphasized its importance. Relieved that I didn't reprimand her, Megan made an outrageous request. Can I borrow this necklace for a while? I was speechless. I've got a date with the doctor I met on a dating app soon. I want to wear it then, please. Megan pleaded with her hands together. Reluctantly, and feeling it was wrong to refuse, I agreed to lend it to her. Okay, but please take good care of it. As I said earlier, it's a gift from David. Megan's face lit up with a smile the moment she knew she could borrow it, and she started caressing the necklace. Of course, I know. She seemed not to take my words seriously. After the cooking was done, I pretended to go to the bathroom, but I went to check the bedroom. As expected, the bedroom closet and the bedside chest were not fully closed. Megan must have opened every drawer and door. There were fingerprints on the jewelry, watches, and precious metals. She touched them, but probably didn't think of borrowing any. The shoes looked like they were forced on, the heels deformed. This was definitely going too far. I went back to the living room and confronted Megan. You've been touching various things in the bedroom, right? The shoes are deformed and there are fingerprints on the watches. Instead of looking sorry, Megan puffed up her cheeks a bit. That stuff, please stop it. Megan returned to her normal expression. Sorry, and apologized. I didn't want to ruin our friendship over something like this, so I just smiled and let it go. Just then, David came home. He was carrying a box of cake. It was the first time David and Megan had seen each other since the wedding. It was awkward at first, but they warmed up, leading to a lively dinner. By the time we were eating the cake David brought, they were chatting like close friends. While I was cleaning up the dishes, they were laughing together. You know, my boss is just the worst. I envy your subordinates. It's not like that. I noticed Megan casually touching David's body and thought it was better than her looking awkward. In hindsight, I was too naive. After all, David wasn't Megan's type. About a month after Megan's visit, David's behavior changed. He spent more time on his mobile phone, which he hadn't done much before. He became distracted when I talked to him, asking me to repeat myself. His phone was always with him, even in the bathroom. A clear change. It seemed I had become a wife being cheated on. I thought about looking at David's phone, but even touching it felt distasteful. Our conversations at home dwindled. David started working on weekends more. He was hardly home on weekends. With our weekdays already passing by each other, it felt like we were living separately. Moreover, he started sleeping in a different bedroom, citing tiredness. I was vaguely thinking about divorce or separation when I saw divorce papers on the living room table, and David had already signed them. I was shaken, even though I half expected it. With trembling hands, I dialed David's number. I just got home and saw the table. What's this about? Just what it looks like. I want a divorce. I pressed David for a real reason. According to him, I've met someone I love. This isn't an affair. I'm serious. He sounded like he was in La La Land. No matter how I thought about it, it was nothing but an affair. Then I heard a familiar female voice over the phone. It was Megan's voice. Well, it was as I expected, but still. I'm dating David. I even think I want to marry him. Although I knew it, having the fact thrown at me like that quickened my heartbeat, and I began to sweat unpleasantly. When I met David at your house, it was love at first sight. We exchanged contacts and started messaging. Gradually, it just turned into that kind of relationship. Megan's way of talking was becoming vulgar. Was that her true nature? David says he has nothing more to talk about with you. Can you just sign the divorce papers quickly? I want to talk. Tell David to come back once. Oh, that's impossible. We're living together now. Patricia, you just need to sign the divorce papers. Good luck with your poor life. Holding the phone after the call was abruptly ended, I stood there, stunned, for a while. I couldn't sleep for days. David didn't come back. I couldn't bring myself to touch the divorce papers on the living room table. They just lay there. Megan sent me several photos of her and David together, flaunting their relationship. What kind of harassment was this? My mental health deteriorated, and my complexion grew pale. People around me got worried, suggested I go to the hospital, and I was practically forced into treatment. The medication helped bring back some peace, and I started sleeping better. I managed to go to work. But then an unbelievable incident occurred. When I returned home from the hospital, I noticed something was off in my apartment. In the bedroom, I opened the closet and found bags and jewelry missing. The jewelry and watches in the chest didn't add up either. There was only one person who could do this. Why would she go this far? What had I ever done to her? My health declined again and sleepless nights continued. I was staggering through the days. At the hospital, when I talked about the theft at home, I was strongly advised to consult a lawyer. I contacted the company's lawyer right there and set up an appointment. In the meeting, Mr. Cooper, the lawyer, "What do you want to do?" asked me. "I want a divorce, and I want those two to face proper consequences." I answered immediately, surprising even myself. Just a while ago, I was wondering what to do, but now it came out so easily. Perhaps I had been wanting to retaliate against them. They had made me suffer so one-sidedly. Now it was my turn to fight back. A week later, Megan contacted me. I had sent the documents to her. "What do you think you're doing? Sending this to my workplace?" Megan's voice was full of anger. "You should have expected at least this much, right? Anyway, I've left everything to the lawyer now." I hung up the phone. Megan called several times after that, but I ignored all of them. Then David called. I had sent the documents to his parents' house. Apparently, the affair had caused a huge uproar at David's family home. I desperately wanted to laugh at everything being a result of their actions, but I restrained myself. I couldn't just leave everything to the lawyer. I needed to meet them and confront them directly. The lawyer arranged a meeting at his office. A few days later, Megan and David reluctantly came to the lawyer's office. I thought they would bring their own lawyer, but it was just the two of them. Megan burst into the office, opening the door roughly. David followed, looking uncomfortable. "Finally, I meet you, you cowards!" Megan was not hiding her anger, but David stepped in front of her, trying to calm her down. "She's been avoiding me. Our wedding keeps getting postponed because of her." Megan looked like she might hit me at any moment. David was trying to hold her back. As I watched them with a pathetic feeling, the lawyer nodded at me slightly. "Please calm down. If violence or abusive language occurs, we will immediately call the police. Understand?" Megan tensed up at the mention of the police. After the lawyer's intervention, Megan and David sat down, calmer now. Facing each other across from the office table, the conversation finally began. "David, you're seeking a divorce, right?" Megan sat there arrogantly while David slouched, looking small. "We will agree to the divorce. However, due to the affair, we will demand compensation. Any objections?" David's face started to cloud over. "I'll agree to anything for the divorce. Just don't contact me after the compensation is paid." I nodded quietly. Megan looked displeased. Maybe she expected more resistance from me. When the lawyer started discussing the compensation amount, Megan complained. "You said any amount would be fine. We have loads of money." Megan sat with her arms crossed, speaking arrogantly. The lawyer looked at her with interest. "Yeah, didn't you know? David is the CEO of $100 million jewelry company." David looked up in a panic and tried to quiet Megan. Megan, her face flushed and excited, continued. "The alimony for an affair is nothing. I'll make sure you get a fair share of the property." David was desperately trying to calm Megan down. Megan shook off David's hand and continued speaking. "Patricia's salary must be just enough to scrape by." Megan muttered with a laugh. The lawyer couldn't hold back his laughter and burst out laughing. Megan looked at the lawyer, puzzled. The lawyer was wiping away tears. "The CEO is Patricia." "What?" Megan's face showed confusion, her mouth hanging open. David hung his head, his body trembling slightly. "David is just an employee with no position at the company. I am the consulting lawyer for Patricia's company." Hearing this, Megan started laughing loudly. "What are you talking about? Are you really a lawyer? Can lawyers lie like that?" The lawyer responded calmly. "Why don't you just ask David sitting next to you if what I said was a lie?" David just looked down, biting his lip. Megan, possibly feeling anxious, grabbed David's arms and started shaking him. "You said you were the CEO of $100 million jewelry company, right? That's not a lie, is it?" David didn't respond. He covered his face with his hands, making inarticulate moaning sounds. Megan, seemingly getting more desperate, gripped David's arms even tighter. "Answer me! It's not a lie, right?" she kept asking. David whispered in a faint, dry voice, "I'm sorry." The room fell into silence at his words. Megan's hands dropped from David as if she had lost all her strength. "You said you were the CEO of $100 million company," Megan murmured to herself, as if speaking to no one. David's apology plunged Megan into despair, and she stood up, trembling. "It's a lie, right? Patricia can't be the CEO." Megan pointed at me accusingly. "Why didn't I know about this? You told me everything." I spoke to Megan calmly, almost soothingly. "Just because we're best friends doesn't mean I share everything, especially since you were always so fixated on money. I didn't plan to tell you." I looked straight at Megan without averting my eyes. Megan seemed to lose all energy and slumped to the floor. "So then that house is—" "Of course, the house is in my name, so the one leaving will be David." Megan fell silent. David held his head in his hands. He probably didn't want to come here. He knew what would happen, but not coming would have been worse. Hell if he came, hell if he didn't. Now hell was all that awaited David. The lawyer began to reveal the evidence I had gathered. "First, here are the photos of David and Megan together." They were the pictures Megan had sent to my mobile phone, now printed out. The lawyer placed a voice recorder on the table and played back recorded phone conversations. "Why did you send these?" "I just wanted to show you how happy David and I are." While listening to Megan's voice, David seemed to be holding back tears. "Hey, do you still have feelings? I want this divorce done quickly. I know what Patricia is clinging to. Your income, right? You're the CEO of $100 million jewelry company, aren't you? You were hiding it because I might take it, right?" Megan, embarrassed, covered her face with her hands. "Leave that condo quickly. It'll be mine soon. Too bad David isn't coming back. I'll give you all the compensation you want, you poor thing." "Your target was never David. It was the money. David is too appalled to say anything." David kept his head down, tears staining his pants. David and Megan were silent. "Hey, you think this is over?" "What else is there?" Megan, you broke into Patricia's house while she was away and stole several items, didn't you? I felt a sense of relief as the lawyer continued in a calm manner. David looked shocked. It seems he was oblivious. Hey, what's this about stealing? Megan bit her lip, trembling hands. What? Not me. I don't know anything. The lawyer placed an iPad on the desk and played a video. It showed Megan sneaking into the bedroom, taking out bags and jewelry, and stuffing them into a bag. Megan watched the video wide-eyed. What is this? Why did you record this? David covered his face with his hands, sighing. Our house has always had security cameras. Why didn't you tell me that earlier? Who would think you would actually steal? I felt a headache coming on from this foolish exchange. And you used my keys without permission. I wanted them. It's because you wouldn't buy them for me, right? The two ignored us and started arguing. The lawyer and I were both astounded. Please save your quarreling for later. Regarding this theft, we will file a police report. Megan began to panic at the mention of the police. The police? Really? I just borrowed a friend's stuff. I never said you could borrow anything. I spoke calmly. Besides, you are not my friend, just a former classmate, so I will file the report. Megan's attitude turned defeatist. Don't say that. I'll compensate. I'll pay you back. Just please don't call the police. Megan started apologizing desperately. I looked down at Megan coldly. Oh, you'll compensate? The items you stole are worth more than your annual salary. Can you manage that? Megan was speechless. There's also the matter of compensation. Megan turned to David with tearful eyes. Hey, you'll pay for it, right? Even if you're not a CEO, you make money, right? David just nodded silently. That man can't pay you. He's about to be fired. David turned his face towards us in panic. Right. David hasn't been to work since he left the house, and with this commotion, there have been complaints from his boss. David held his head, looking like he might collapse. But there's the division of property, right? I'll pay with that. We can't divide the property. David and I signed a prenuptial agreement. He didn't tell you? He didn't mention anything inconvenient, did he? I looked at David with disdain. The lawyer placed the contract on the table. If the marriage doesn't last 3 years, neither party can claim division of property. You are currently in your 2nd year of marriage. Megan grabbed the document, about to tear it up. That document is a notarized deed. It's best to treat it carefully. You could be held legally accountable. Megan stopped at the words legally accountable. She half smiled at David, pleading. David, you have savings, right? Use that to pay. David looked at Megan with resentful eyes. Are you kidding me? You're always saying you want sushi, steak, this and that, so how could I have any savings? It seems so. There's also debt, apparently. Megan slumped her shoulders, a pitiful sight. Gone was the glamorous appearance that made men turn their heads, but this was the result of her own actions. The two looked exhausted and dazed. This wasn't supposed to happen. What do we do now? They murmured. I decided to leave the rest to the lawyer and stood up to leave. Megan, money isn't something you steal from others. It's something you earn through effort. Subsequently, the divorce was smoothly finalized. David's belongings were packed and sent back to his parents. David's parents repeatedly apologized to me and even sent a letter of apology. Megan was interrogated by the police for breaking and entering and theft. My filing of the police report led to an investigation, and Megan was arrested after admitting to her crimes. Half of the stolen items had been sold, but I got the rest back. She was malicious, but due to her showing remorse and willingness to compensate, it seemed she might get a suspended sentence. However, Megan had other offenses. It was discovered that she had been taking money and items from men she met on dating apps. This led to her receiving an actual prison sentence. That's why Megan overreacted to the mention of the police and the words legally accountable. David couldn't live in Megan's condo and moved to an old apartment in the suburbs. He was looking for a job, but due to absenteeism and poor conduct at his previous job, no company would hire him. He was barely managing with day-to-day work. I received regular updates about their situation from the lawyer. After the divorce, I focused more on my work. Now I'm expanding my company's jewelry business into Europe. This started when I took a long vacation in Europe after the divorce. I had the chance to drink wine with the owner of a jewelry shop in France. I passionately discussed jewelry design with the owner. We hit it off, and he agreed to stock my company's jewelry in his store. The owner is a wonderful man who, having been divorced himself, understood my pain. To be honest, I'm focusing on sales in France to see him. A little reward like this shouldn't be too much to ask for, given what I've been through.